My first experience with the paranormal happened when I was very young. Through the 10 years of living in the house, there were things that started to happen. Now, my mom didn't want to tell me most of the things that happened because I was so young, around the ages from 2 to 12, and believed that it would scare me. There was the one incident that really had my mom freaked out. She said she was coming out of the family room and walking down the hallway towards the kitchen when she saw a green light glowing under the chest freezer. She freaked out and thought it was a fire, but when she got closer, it just faded away like nothing happened. Another time was when we had a dog, and she kept barking and woke my mom up in the wee hours of the morning. Mom said she smelled this foul stench coming from the living room. When she did get up and look in the living room, there was a big pile of crap on the floor. My mom thought that the dog did it and started to get mad, but she knew something wasn't right. She went back to her room and grabbed her phone to take a picture, but the phone died right before she could. From that situation, she talked to somebody about what she saw. The lady she talked to said that we needed to be careful because the devil had made itself known in the house. She didn't tell me this part until way later. Now, whatever the entity was in the house really targeted my mom. All the times that she was in her bedroom, it would attack her. One time she was asleep. She heard these voices that woke her up, but when she opened her eyes, something blew something in her eyes. She said she rubbed and rubbed until whatever it was gone. Another time she was in the bed. Something had her hogtied. She woke up and her legs and arms were pulled behind her. My mom said she screamed and shouted and managed to get herself free. Now, the experiences I had were not too intense, but was still scary. The one thing I will never forget was when I was in my room trying to go to sleep, but my dog kept growling at the door. Normally I slept with the door closed to my room all the time because I felt like something was wrong in the house. While my dog was growling, I turned over and looked at the door to see it open halfway and close back. I threw the cover over my head and tried to go to sleep. The next day, I asked my mom if she opened the door and checked on me that night, and she said no. Most of the time, I would always hear her knocking on doors and something calling my name. When I would ask my parents, they would say they didn't call me or knock on any doors. Now I was a little freaked out and shouldn't have done research on the topic. When I did, I found out a whole bunch of things which I felt that aided in our knowledge on how to deal with this. My parents would always laugh at me because I used to run through the house at night. Yeah, it sounds pretty dumb, but I always felt as if something was sitting there watching me. The thing that really had me scared was when I was at the house with my dad. While he was in the back, I was at the front door just looking out and walking around since there was nothing to do. When I was at the door, I had my back turned towards the front door and was facing the kitchen area with an apparition of a girl appeared in the doorway of the bedroom. She was wearing a white dress and had pigtails, and she said, "Please, don't go." After that, I ran to the back and told my dad I was ready to go. My dad also experienced some things himself. Normally, he would stay up late and watch horror movies. Mostly, they'd just be on while he'd be asleep. When he woke up to turn off the TV to go to bed, he couldn't move, and something held him down into the chair. He looked up and saw some black mass floating above him. He claimed it was just his imagination playing tricks on him since he was half asleep and watching a horror movie, so he just played this one off. The other time was when he was still in the back, and he heard marbles hit the floor, like someone just opened up a jar of marbles and tossed them across the floor. He jumped up and looked down the hallway, same with the dog. The both of them checked on me and my mom only to see that we were asleep, and he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. All of this happened for the 12 years that we lived there. I say it had gotten worse around 2010 to 2012 due to the issues that were going on. I believe that the negativity really egged it on for whatever the entity was to act like that. My mom had also done history on the neighborhood to find out that there were many burial sites of slaves inside the neighborhood. Also, the other neighbors had similar experiences, with doors opening and closing and alarm systems going off on their own. Due to all this, I still feel like something followed my mom and I since we've moved. There's the possibility of it latching onto an object, or us, right? Well, that's just what I've read, but I believe it to be true. Even in the place we're in now, we see shadows creeping around the corners. We see shadows creeping around corners and voices that really can't be explained.